Hiya! My hair's a bit of a mess this morning, excuse me. It's just one of those mornings. It's just one of those months actually. I'm just going to share the link, so if you can just bear with me a minute. Also, feel free to share the link if you want to. We are making this morning these Christmas ornaments, wire wrap stars. Aren't they pretty? We'll get started in just a minute. So yeah, just taking a minute to share the link, make sure everyone can find me. Get yourself a cup of tea, get settled in. Oh, I can hear my tap dripping. Can you hear my tap dripping? Might have to turn it off, it's a bit annoying. What am I doing? That was not the right thing to click on. I know how to use my computer. Of course I do. I use it all the time. Here we go. It's just a bit faffy because I've got to get to the Never More Boutique page and then share it to the group. But instead I went to the group. Oh, morning Lynn. Share to the group. I love the image of me. It's frozen that video on. Honestly, sometimes they're the best. I just look fantastic. I've got my mouth a bit open. Right, that's shared to the group. I'm sorry your kit hasn't arrived, Kim, but yes, we can go through it all today and then you can watch it again anytime. Sorry, the post is so awful. It's really caught me off guard. Like I expected it to get bad in the next couple of weeks, but I think that because we had lockdown and the post service got really clogged up, and then it's clogged up again. So good. Anyway, so 10 people here. We might get started. So first off, you need to make a star shape. And I've got a couple of ways of making your star shape. The first way, and this might be a good idea anyway, just to think about the size and shape of the star, is to draw out a star that's the size you want on a piece of paper. So you can, I'm doing a 5-pointed star. You can have as many points as you want on the star. So if you draw out your star on a piece of paper, just gives you an idea of the size and shape of a star. Probably going to make the next bit a little bit easier. Just not done a great job, just quite faint. I'm afraid this isn't a star drawing workshop, so if you're struggling with drawing the star, I'm not going to help you with that. There's lots of ways to draw stars, I'm sure you'll work one out. And we'll start off with a bit of wire that's about a metre long. We're probably going to work in metre long bits because longer than that just gets a bit out of hand. I'm going to start at the top point of my star, so that's up here where I've put in this loop on this one. And I'm going to select a bead. It's going to be one of the medium-sized beads in your kit. Now, this is quite an organic process, so I'm going to show you a pattern. That's the way to do it, Mary. Oh, it's nice to have you here live, actually, because you normally catch up, don't you? Which I totally understand. I don't get to do anything when I want to anymore, and I've only got one. Yeah, so draw out a star. Get one of your medium-sized beads. As I'm saying, this is quite an organic process, so as you go along, I might say put a bead here, but for your shape of star, it might not look right. You might want to use a smaller bead instead. You might want to switch it up a bit. So please don't be scared to try your own thing and not do exactly what I say. If you want to do what I say, that's totally fine, but I'm just letting you know it's fine to do your own thing. Also, the kits I've added extra beads. Some of the beads are slightly different sizes maybe from what I'm using. So just so you can be a bit more creative and make your star totally unique. However, I think you should have the right stuff to follow what I'm doing. So that's totally up to you. We will go in for a close-up in a minute, and I've just realised I haven't got any black backing cards, so you can see what I'm doing nice and easy. So I'm just going to go grab some of that, because I don't want to give you all a headache. Go. It's not card, it's a t-shirt, but it'll work. Should work nicely. Contrast with the wire. Spread it out on the table for our close-up. And we'll get going in just a minute. So, if you're just joining, I started by drawing out a star that's the size and shape. Can you see that? Of the star that I want to do. And then I'm going to start off with one of my small beads. I'm going to put the small bead about an inch down the wire, and then I'm going to work out where that would be at the bottom of the small bead, about an inch down the wire. Take the bead off and put a bend in the wire there. We'll go in for a close-up in just a minute, because I can see that this is going to be a close-up kind of workshop. Let's do it. Let's do a close-up. Right, I'm just going to get the live video up on my laptop so I can see what I'm doing while I'm doing the close-up. And let's readjust the camera. Here we go. Let's move that up there. Let's move this laptop out of the way. I can see that's a bit blurry. Make a nice space to work. So I've got my star drawing, and then what I'm going to do now, oh morning Emma, I'm going to start off by working out how big I want the first point of my star to be. So I'm coming down from the top here. Drawing a line. So if you've got any pliers, this is really useful for this project. You don't need pliers, but it does help. Wire cutters also help, or maybe you've got cutters on your plier, but you can just use scissors or bend your wire. But I'm going to try and do most of the bending with my fingers, because I know some of you might not have pliers. So you take that bend there, which was under this bead, down to there, and then you put in your first bend. And this is one way you can make a really nice star. Just follow the drawing on your paper around in a star shape. You see? Another way to make a good star, and this is the way I like to do it because you end up with a slightly more funky shape, I think, is you're just going to concertina your wire. So you're going to fold it up, and you're making sure that all of these are the same size. Honestly, you want to try and avoid even being, a millimetre would be all right, but a couple of millimetres might start to get a bit weird. So I'm doing a 5-pointed star. So I want to do, so that's half of one there. 2, 3, 4. So I want to do 1.5 more. Just hear my cat jumping around in the background. I don't know if you can. She's quite excited because there's a chair near the sink, and the sink's her favourite thing, so she can just get up to it really easily. I mean, she's not an old cat, she's just a bit on the lazy side. Okay, so that's 4.5, and then I just do my last bend up like this. Try and keep those as flat as possible, and like I said, try and notice if one or two of them is a bit shorter. If you're struggling with this technique, just work your way around the edge of your star. You might find that easier. It might be easier. I just thought this was quite a cool way to do it. Oh, I can appreciate that, Susan. I'm sleepy this morning too. But yeah, you need a clear head for trying to make something for the first time. So then you're going to open out the points of your star that you concertinaed up there. Pull them apart. And then we're gonna, so this is the top bit of your star here. So you're going to pull that up to the top, and your star's going to look a bit funny for a bit. It's going to look like a flower. Oh, this star's going to be smaller than my other one. That's another thing with the beads. If you make these stars slightly smaller, you may find that you want to use less beads, or maybe not, or you want to use only use the smaller ones. All of these are perfectly acceptable options. Make your star your own, please. That's what I love to see. I love to see it when you take my ideas and you customise them and personalise them, and I think that makes them really exciting for me. And hopefully exciting for you too. So just opening it out, you see, how cool is that? And then you get a perfect star with all the correct lines. I mean, I don't know about perfect, but look, and if you put it on your original drawing, you can see it's similar, it's a star, but it's probably more a perfect star because the sides will all be the same length because we did it like that. Okay, so now I'm going to get that bead back, that medium-sized bead that we used in the first place, and I'm going to thread it down, both bits of wire at the top. I'm going to work out where I want it to stop and have a little fiddle to get it in the right place. And then this is the bit where it gets a little bit technical. So first off, this short end, I'm going to make it into a circle. And I'm doing that. I'm just using my fingers, kind of pinching it between my fingers to bend it round to create a loop. And that's the loop we're going to hang it from with the ribbon. So it's quite important to pop a loop in there. And then we're going to take the other end of the wire and we're going to wrap it round the bottom of that loop, maybe a couple of times. So your star's quite flimsy at the moment, and don't worry, that's the next bit is strengthening the star. Then I'm going to take this wire at the top and I'm going to wrap it so it goes around the bead in front, it comes up to the top behind, it goes round the loop at the top, and then it goes back down in front of the bead again, and then I'm going to add my first, no actually I won't add it on this wire. This wire can stay nice and plain. So we've also got this decorative wire to use as well as the beads, and I'll be showing you how to use that in just a minute as we move on. That will go on as the next stage. It's a bit fragile, the decorative wire, so be careful not to squash it. I mean, it's not fragile once it's on your star, but before it is on the star, it can be a little bit stretchable and squishable, and it can just go a bit wrong. So now I'm going to take this short bit of wire, whatever you've got left, don't worry too much about it, and this is how you start to stiffen up your star. I'm just going to wrap it down my star and around, so it's just going around. I'm not worried about any of the beads now or anything at the moment. Just going around and around and around. So we've got a little sharp end poking out here. If you haven't got anything to finish this off with, like pliers or cutters, I just say bend it back round so it's not sticking out, so it's lying flat next to the other wires, and then it probably won't spike anyone. And anyway, it's not jewellery, so we don't have to worry too much. Christmas trees are spiky anyway, aren't they? So now I'd get another piece of wire that's about 1 metre long. And maybe a good way to start it would be to poke one end in this bead at the top here. So it's out of the way. Oh my gosh, I should have gone for shorter than 1 metre. If you haven't cut this bit of wire yet, then why not go for something a bit shorter, like maybe 2 feet. We seem to be very imperial today. Is it imperial? I'll get them confused. Yeah, metric is meters, right? No. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, we're jumping between imperial and metric as normal. I'm going to wrap it down there, here, and just keep on wrapping it round. So just really simple, in and out. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be too tidy, doesn't have to be too tight, because we're going to wrap beads and wire over this. So don't worry if it's a bit messy, or you think it looks messy, because other people won't notice. They'll think it's kind of a messy design, to be honest. Part of the joy. I hope you can see what I'm doing all right on the t-shirt. I hope it is showing up okay. I wish I had better lights in my kitchen. They're quite bright but a bit dramatic. And my house is just very dark. I just don't have anywhere where the natural light is that good. Although, to be honest, in this winter so far, you're lucky to get a bit of natural light. Although today's not too bad, saying that. Honestly, the cat's determined to knock something heavy over and really make a big noise. She wants to get involved in this video making. I'm just going in through the middle, round the sides, and through my star. Don't know if you can hear her banging and rustling about in the background. Just going exploring in my desk, which is a absolute state. So don't worry if your star's getting a bit bent out of shape as you do this, because it's toughening it up and we can rebend it into shape once we've done this stage. And then it'll be a little bit easier adding, and the beads and the third wrapping round of wire, they're all going to make it stronger. So don't worry if it's getting a bit bent out of shape, as long as you know where those original bends were and can pop them back in whenever you like. Here we go. Do, do, do. All right, where should we start? Well, we're going to be at the end of this point here, so maybe we'll just start here. And like I said, I'm going to try and follow the pattern of the original star. However, this is an organic process, and if I think something's not going to look right with it, this star will be slightly different from that star, and I'll be mixing it up a bit. So I want you to do the same as you make yours. So I'm just checking out my shape of my star, making sure I'm happy with where it all is. Giving it a little flex. It's still not rigid. It won't be a totally rigid design, but it will hold its shape once we're finished. So I've got my bit of wire left here to work with, so I'm just going to finish it off using this. And I'm going to start off with one of those medium beads. And it's going to go sort of in between these two spikes here, not right down the end because there's not space for it, sort of slightly up. I'm going to thread it onto the wire. And then I might actually just have to wrap, before I put it on, just wrap the wire down once more to about where I want the bead to go. So just once round will do. So now I'm going to put the bead onto the wire. We'll drop it, one or the other, we'll see. So I'll just put this here for us so we can see what I'm doing now. So I'm working on this bead here. As you see, I've used a slightly different size bead, but I'm not going to worry about that. I want these stars to be slightly different. So I just went around the other side and then I've come back on top and I'm just going to take the wire around the bead. I'm doing that by pinching the bead and just using the bead to bend the wire in a circle. Then I'm going to take the wire up back to the top bit and then just wrap it along a couple of times. And then I'm going to put this big bead in the corner. I'm going to have to add a new bit of wire on soon, so I'm just going to wrap this one around once because you see it's got the decorative wire on it, which I'm not going to add on now. I'm going to add that on with my second bit of wire. And I'm going to just finish that end off there. So that wire's just gone around that bead once, and then I'm just going to wrap that little end around and make it lie as flat as I can with the rest of the star. Okay? See, it's getting a bit bent out of shape, but if you just keep fiddling with it, or just leave it till the end and have a really good fiddle with it and get it in the right shape. Right, so I'm getting another bit of wire. I'm going to work a bit shorter this time, because that one's a bit out of hand. And I'm going to go up here now. Although actually, it's hard because when I make these things the first time, when I make the example one, I don't really think about what I'm doing, I just make something. And then when I'm teaching you guys, all I'm doing is thinking about what I'm doing. So it is a bit of a challenge. That's why the ones in the workshops often don't turn out quite as nice, because I'm so busy thinking about what I'm doing, I'm not thinking about the aesthetic and what it looks like. But that's okay, it's all part of the game. So I've just put this little bead on here, wrapped it around a couple of times, just wrapping that end back round, and I'm just going to take that end down here and add some decorative wire on around this big one. So this is the decorative wire, it's kind of like a slinky, and the way you use this is really gently, really carefully, measure how big you want the bit of decorative wire to be. You can use scissors to cut it, or you can use your wire cutters. Cut off the section you want. And then, hopefully, if it's worked, you can just thread it onto your wire. It might try and do that, it might try and poke out the side, but you want to get it through the middle. So then you have a lovely decorative bit of wire that you just wrap that round, and I've only left myself a short end there. If you're not working with pliers, you should definitely leave a longer end, but because luckily enough I've got some pliers, I can just use them to attach my shorter end by just bending it back around the bead. Okay? So right, I've got my little one here, which also has a bit of decorative wire. I've put quite a big loop of decorative wire on this one. So if I just work out how big I want that loop to be, not that big. Just measure out my bit of decorative wire. You can do the measuring quite roughly because it doesn't matter if it's a bit long or a bit short generally. threading that onto my middle wire again. This one's ended up a bit long, but like I said, don't think it matters. And I'm just going to take this main wire and take it back through that loop of decorative wire, and that will sort of strengthen that circle, hold it in place a bit. Then on this one, I put a big bead up here, but the way I've done my wrapping, it's not going to fit. So I'm going to put a smaller one in. This is what I mean about allowing yourself to not stick to a pattern, be a bit more organic in your approach. Slide it down. And I'm just wrapping my wire around that bead, around the front once, and then maybe also around the back. And if you've got any bits, so this bit here is not very secure, so I might later just add another little bit of wire there to help secure it up. So then I'm going to go back down this leg till I get to the corner, and then on this corner I've got another bead added on. Give my star a little bend around, make sure I'm happy that the shape is coming out all right. I'm going to try go for one of my smaller mediums. So what you're doing when you're securing these beads on is you're kind of thinking, so it came from the underneath there, so I'm going on the top there because that will help it be more secure. So now I'm going to go underneath again, come round the bead again, but this time I might go back through that hole created there, pull it through and then bring it back round the top. And that will create a really strong loop to hold my bead in. Might think about some decorative wire now. So get a bit that's big enough to go around the bead, measure it out, cut off my section. And then wrap the wire down here, and then we're going to put a little one in. Slide your little one up and do the same thing. So it's come from the top, so now I'm going to take this wire underneath my star. I'm going to take it round the top. I'm going to poke it back through this little hole that I've created between the two, and that's how you really secure your bead on. The end's getting quite short, so I'm just using pliers to help me. You don't need pliers. If you're finding your end's getting a bit short, just wrap it around your main stage and get a new bit of wire on the case. In fact, I'm going to finish this bit of wire because it is a bit short. And if you want to use pliers to help finish it off, one thing you can do is create a loop like that, so it just loops around the wire and it creates quite a tidy finish. So my star is starting to get nice and stiff now as I go along. There might be some bits that I'm happier with, less happy, but you can come back to it. It's all a work in progress. Come back to it later and do some adding on. Just going to get another 2-foot bit of wire. Now do watch how much wire you're using, because obviously this kind of technique you can use as much wire as you want basically, and you've only got a limited amount in your kits if you've got a kit. It's not expensive, so if you do find yourself running out and you're like, oh, I really want some more wire, you can buy it very easily online. It's 1mm silver plated wire. But yeah, just keep an eye on how much wire you're using, because I don't want you to run out and be annoyed, because that would be rubbish. Just looking at what bead I'm going to use next. So on this one, I'm working down to here. I've got a flashy small one in the point of my star. And I'm thinking I'm going to leave decorative wire off that one. I think it looks quite nice to mix it up and have some without decorative wire and some with. I know on this one it has got decorative wire, but I'm going to leave it off. Like I said, it's an organic process. You do what you think's right. It's your design, this one. Or it will be by the time you're finished. So I've got the wire, it's coming up that side, and then I'm going to take it underneath on that side. And the bead is then in between the 2 points of the star. I've just left my end really messily here, so I'm just going to use my pliers to tuck it in. If you don't have pliers, consider your options of maybe tucking that into another bead, or just doing something a bit tidier with it. You can be a bit lazier if you've got pliers. Right, so I'm going to now, so I've gone up, so it's come from the top, gone underneath. It's going to go around the bead on top. And then I'm going to poke this end back through that hole I've created there. Then I'm going to take the wire, it's going to go underneath, and then it's going to go back through, weaving through that loop I've created there. So just think about really strengthening your design as you go along, holding your loops down, and ways you can do that. If you think about that kind of thing, you're going to find it just sort of happens. You'll know where to put the wire as you go. I'm going to put a loop of decorative wire around this one. So I'm just going to measure that and cut that. You can cut this really easily with scissors. Just make sure they're quite like, they're not too chunky, the scissors, because it might squash the wire where you cut it, and then it's harder to thread onto your center wire. Thread the decorative wire down and loop it round. So you might find, so this loop is, it looks great, but it's a bit loose. Like it's going to just sort of, it might catch. Doesn't matter too much because it's not jewellery, but I'll just show you how to tie it down. So I'm going to stick that wire back into that hole that I've already been through to finish off my circle. And then I'm going to use the other end to just secure this loop up here. I'm going to do that by just going back down through the loop. And be a little bit careful wrapping around this decorative wire, because it is easy to squash the pattern on it. Doesn't matter too much because it still looks nice even if it's a bit squashed. But yeah, I'm just going to put another wrap around there. You see that loop's now nice and secured down. I'm just going to take the wire over to my other side, probably put it through that gap there. I wonder if you can see what I'm doing. I hope so. I think so. I know you're all doing it later, so you're not asking questions and telling me to move the camera angle. So, you know, you'll be sorry. Maybe you do the next one live. So this is what we're doing next week, actually. Beaded wreath. I'll just leave that there. Isn't it pretty? And that's a simpler project. So if you're finding this one a bit trying, don't worry, the beaded wreath is simpler. If you want to, I've got kits available for the beaded wreath. If you order by Monday, I will send first class, but with the tracking, so I think it will reach you in time for the workshop next Saturday, so there is still time to order a kit and it will almost definitely arrive in time. Or you can do the workshop whenever you want, as normal. So we're coming down here, and now we've got a big swirly one to do. This one's going to be fun. I'm going to go for one of my medium-sized, well, my slightly bigger medium-sized ones. And I'm going to start off by just going around it in a circle. And then I'm going to look at what I did before. And then I'm going to add on my loop of decorative wire. And I did quite a big circle on this one, so I'm going to measure that out, a nice big decorative circle. It's nice using this decorative wire on this project, because I bought this stuff ages ago and then I just haven't found any projects to use it on. So it's nice to find a project that I think it really works well on. Right, so I'm going to bring it around my bead. I'm going to try and make that shape as nice as possible. Sometimes it just goes into a lovely shape on its own, and sometimes you've really got to force a point. And then I'm going to, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one underneath, and then I'm going to take this wire back through that big loop I've created. And you'll find that just that simple kind of almost like a knot shape made out of wire starts to hold it quite tight, especially if you take this end then back on top. And that will probably make quite a secure shape. And then we're just going to work this short bit down to the end down here and add a little bead in there. I've only got a little bit of wire left here, so I'm thinking I might leave the decorative wire off here because I want to be careful not to use up all my wire. And you can always come back later and add a bit on. Oh, I don't know, maybe it needs it. Oh, I don't know. But you can decide later. So what I'm going to do is just pop my bead on, cheat again, use my pliers. It's really only the finishing off the ends you need them for. And if you don't have pliers, all you need to do is just finish off your wire earlier. You know, where you've still got a couple of inches to just wrap round and work out where you want them. So at the moment I'm going to leave that bead just like that, but I can come back later and add my decorative wire on. So I've just got the one point of my star left to decorate, so that's exciting. It's a 3 beader, as we can see here. So I'm going to get another 2-foot bit of wire. Where am I going to start it? Well, I could start it by adding some decorative wire down here. And you know what, that might be what I do, because this bead looks a bit sad, to be honest, on its own. A little bit lonely. I do hope I'm not missing any of your comments. I don't think so. I think you're all quiet. That's okay. Allows me to concentrate. I'm just working out where I might want my decorative wire to go. I'm thinking it'll look quite nice if it sort of comes up here. And then maybe goes back around there. So just cut off a bit that's that long. And I'm going to start this bit differently. I'm going to thread the decorative wire on first. I'm going to stick the end of my wire through there. Take out about 1 inch that I'm planning to just wrap around my bead. Maybe. Okay, and then I'm going to just wrap this other end. So I'm going to use this little short end that I left out over here to just secure my circle. Should have left it longer. That's okay. I can do this. I've got super strong hands. If you haven't got strong hands, you're definitely going to need the pliers. You know, if you suffer with any arthritis or anything like that, it may be that wire wrapping just isn't the craft for you, but definitely get yourself some pliers and give it a go. But yeah, it's quite a workout on the hands. Right, so now I'm just going to wrap this back up. Like I said, keep an eye on how much wire you're using, because you can cut down. You want to kind of make sure you use it evenly. So if you feel like you're running out, maybe get round and get all your beads on, and then see if you've got enough left for the decorative looping and decorative wire. Because when you're making this, the wire's a bit of a how long is a piece of string. And I've actually used a lot more wire on this star than I used on this star, so go figure. So where was I? Where's this one? Okay, so I'm putting the bead on here. It's a little one, diddy one. And so the wires come from the top, so I'm going to take it underneath first to help secure my bead in the position I want it. I'm going to come back around the bead. I'm going to go through a little gap between the side and the wire coming out of the bead. Tighten that up. Now I'm going to add a big old loop of decorative wire. Just bend my wire around, get it in the shape I want that decorative wire to be. Actually, that is definitely the right way to do it. That's what I should have been telling you to do all along. Sorry about that. Then measure the decorative wire around that loop. Cut a bit off. And thread your decorative wire down. Oh, thanks, Lynn. Then, so this is coming over the top. I'm going to go under the bottom. I'm going to take this up through the middle, and then I'm going to go through this loop that I've created. In fact, I might go through the small loop here as well, because that'll just make it extra strong, and take my wire back to the side here. And then I can just wrap it up to the end of that point. I keep forgetting which one I'm doing. Which point is it I'm working on? It's this one. I'm going to put a medium bead on. Go for a small medium. You might not have small mediums and bigger mediums in your kit. It depends on what beads I had, because of my delayed bead order, I made some of the kits kind of just with trying to get them sent out. So I used the beads I had, but you will have pretty much this sort of selection. So the 3 sizes, the big size, the medium size and the small size. There'll definitely be 3 sizes. And there might be more if you're lucky. You can get really creative. Like I said, this is the number of beads I'm using in mine. However, you might find that you want to use a few more or a few less, and that's totally up to you. So it's quite good having these beads going in between at the end of the points, because that will really help your star hold its shape. Also having these beads around the insides of the points, they help reinforce that shape there as well. So it's much harder to bend your star out of shape because of those beads. So I'm going to add on a loop of decorative wire here. Just going to, well, first off, that end's just coming up there. So I'm just going to make sure it's secure. I might tuck it back through this. There's a little hole in the side wrapping wire. Tuck it through there. And then just bend it into the shape I want the decorative wire to be. Just measure that out. Pop it round. And then let's just wrapping it around the back and then putting it back through itself, and I'm hoping that'll really hold it in place. So in this design I've got a little one here, but you see on this design my loops of decorative wire are a bit bigger. There's not really space, so I think it might be finished, guys. Don't know. Let's just finish off this bit of wire. Just gonna loop it round. Thanks, Tracy. You wait till you get your hands on this wire though, it's not that delicate. It's really quite a battle. Just going to get my pliers again just to finish this end off. Like I said, if you don't have, you can use any pliers. You can use like your DIY pliers just to like bend those ends in. If you don't have pliers, just try and finish so you can tuck them into one of the holes on your beads or something like that. So I'm just going to have a little fiddle around with it, make sure I'm happy with the shape of my star. Oh, so I was going to add some decorative wire to this one up here, but actually I think I'm quite happy with it like that. So if you do want to add a bit of decorative wire on afterwards, all you have to do is get a small bit of wire, just a couple of inches like this. Choose the bead you want to do. So if I was going to do this one up here, go on, I'll do it just to show I can. So I'm going to start by sticking the wire into the bead, and then just to make sure it's nice and secure, just wrap it around the bead, wrap it around something else maybe, and then I'm going to get my bit of bendy wire and just make it the right size for the job, and then just slip that on over on my center wire. There we go, push it down and then loop it around itself, back around that middle bit, and then I'll just take this end just to secure that loop in the right place, go back through the loop, decorative wire, and just wrap it around the top piece as well. So I'm telling you what I'm doing as I'm going along, but obviously it's going to be a case of you working out what works in your design, because you might find you're trying to follow my steps but your bead still is really wobbly, so maybe you need to go back under a bit or over a bit. Just really try and have a play around with it and get it how you need it, how you need it to be, get it right for you. Don't worry too much about getting it right for my star, because you are working on your star, not my star, obviously. Goes without saying. So I'm going to cheat again, sorry guys. So if you have got a bit of wire like this left, actually, maybe I'll just show you some nice ways to finish it off without cheating. That would be good, wouldn't it? So it's not really long enough to go down there. So what I might do with a bit of wire like this is just wrap it around and around and around, and then you see there it's finished. There's a little sharp bit sticking off, but it doesn't matter because it's a tree ornament, not a necklace. It's not going to stab anyone. Then you've got your little bit of ribbon that came in your kit, which you just tie into a little loop like that. Just thread it through the top, although I'm sure you can work this bit out. There's a few different ways of doing it. Not rocket science. And loop it round. And that is how you make your wire wrap star. And you see, they're different, unique, but similar. And I hope that you get on all right with this project. If you've got any questions, of course, I'm on the group, on the Get Creative group all the time. So just get on there and be like, oh, I tried to do this and it didn't work out quite like you said. Let's put my face back in the picture while I chat to you. Nope, not in the picture. Put it back up. There we go. Yeah, so if you do have a go and you need any support, just give me a shout. Also, like I said, just be mindful of how much wire you're using if you're working with a kit and you've got a limited amount of wire. And yeah, enjoy making it. And I hope it looks beautiful on your tree or in your window or wherever you decide to put it. Tuesday evening, we're making a rag Christmas trees. Aren't they glorious? If you bought the craft bundle from me, you got a bonus rag wreath kit, and we're going to cover how to make the rag wreath kit at the Rag Christmas Tree Workshop. Keep all our rags in one place, so you can bring both your kits to that workshop. If you don't have a kit, I'll just go, you need fabric. The tree is made of, so thin, stiff fabric is ideal for the tree project and looks great on the wreath as well, but the wreath can be just sort of any thinner fabric. For the wreath, you need a circle, some sort of metal or wire circle. For the tree, this one is on a stick and then it's on a base, which if you've got the kit, you've got a stick and a base already attached together. If you're not working with a kit, you could just use a stick, maybe put it in a plant pot full of dirt or something, just something so it sticks upright, so it doesn't fall over. And then just a bit of cardboard to create the star at the top. So yeah, that's what we're doing Tuesday evening, and I'm gonna make the event for that, probably before Tuesday, we'll see. And then next Saturday, doesn't look that great there, is it? But you've seen the picture and you saw it in the close-up on the dark fabric. Beaded wreath next Saturday, and then I can't remember what other workshops we're doing, but they're gonna be fun, I'm sure. In fact, I think, I can't remember. I think the Saturday after might be, no, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I will publish events and then you'll know. And I'll also pop stuff up in the group about what we've got coming up, so you'll know on there as well. Oh, you're welcome, Lynn. I hope you enjoy making it. I hope you all enjoy making it. I hope it's the right amount of challenging. I feel like you're all pretty good and you're going to be fine. You're going to do a great job. So enjoy, and I'll see you Tuesday evening to make a rag Christmas tree, which is much more the kind of thing you can do in front of the TV and relax. So bye-bye, guys. Thanks for watching.